The San Antonio Spurs have been looking for a second star to pair with Victor Wembanyama for a little while now, and they have finally pulled the trigger and gone out and got an all-star level guard in De'Aaron Fox. During this trade, they have gone out and built their big two. Will we see more moves coming? We'll talk about it right now and what this means for the Spurs going forward for this season and the future of this team going forward as well. Now, the Spurs finally decided to pull the trigger on a trade, maybe after what we saw last night with the Luka trade. A lot of teams are going out there and becoming buyers or sellers, whichever side you want to look at now, at the trade deadline itself, and the Spurs are no different. Yes, we obviously have to talk about the Kings here and the Bulls themselves, as the Kings and the Bulls both got some pretty decent returns depending on how you want to look at it. The Kings obviously trading away De'Aaron Fox, getting back Zach LaVine, 3 first-round picks, 3 second-round picks as well. So building towards the future, it seems like they may be going into more of a rebuilding role as of right now, even though they do have some older players now with Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan as well, the Jones, Kevin Huerter, and their own 2025 pick via the Spurs. But right now, we're mostly going to be talking about the Spurs in this video. If you guys want to see more about what the Kings will do going forward, let me know down below. But the team that intrigues me the most, and I'm sure intrigues you guys the most, is obviously the Spurs. This team with Victor Wembanyama so far this year has been playing pretty decent. You know, the roster itself isn't the best roster out there, though they have some very good young players, and they've been able to build off of that. Now they have 2 solidified stars. Victor has moved into that role of being an all-star level player and has really shown that this year. 24.6 points per game, 10.9 rebounds, almost 4 assists and 4 blocks per game. This guy is really living up to the hype, and I don't even think he's reached close to his max potential so far, which is kind of crazy. Now having a guy out there like they signed with Chris Paul earlier this year, being able to get him the ball even more, also having a Rookie of the Year contender with Stephon Castle, and now also getting another guard in De'Aaron Fox. Wemby is going to go out there and get some really good looks, and this is going to make a very tough time to guard both of these guys. De'Aaron Fox, one of the fastest players in the league. Victor Wembanyama, I don't know how you guard him. I mean, this guy is putting up 30-foot shots that are banking off the backboard, being highly contested. This guy can do every single thing that you could imagine on the basketball court and even more. So this pairing of De'Aaron Fox and Victor Wembanyama makes a lot of sense. Going into this season, I thought that this would be one of the guys they would target, and it made the most sense, especially for the Kings, kind of in a weird spot right now where, yes, they could probably make the playoffs with that roster, but also maybe they want to rebuild going forward, but they also still have some good players over there with Sabonis as well and DeMar DeRozan in the offseason, so they're in a weird spot. But the Spurs, as we know, we're going to be buyers this season. We were just waiting when they would finally go out there and get that deal done, and now they do. De'Aaron Fox is a perfect complement for Wemby, like I said before as well. And also, with the introduction of guys so far this season, with Stephon Castle playing very well, Devin Vassell as well, putting up 16 points per game at the shooting guard role. Guys like Keldon Johnson are going out there getting double digits per night. Jeremy Sohan's getting double digits. Harrison Barnes, Julian Champagnie, all these guys in double digits so far this year, and they have been playing very well for the roster that they have. But now that they have 2 solidified stars on this roster, as we know, Chris Paul is obviously older at this point, so we're not expecting an all-star level area from him, but he's still going out there putting up 9.5 and 8.2 every single night, and he's going out there playing 29-30 minutes off the bench, and he will continue to do that with De'Aaron Fox there as well now. But this team has been great. I do not think the Spurs are done, though. I think they may go out there, maybe trade another one of their young guys to come in and get a 3rd star, whether that's this season or maybe they wait until next season to do that. I do think that that's going to come. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes before the deadline, but like I said, it may come in the summer after maybe they develop more people. It is going to be interesting, though, because we are going to have to see what happens with this roster. I mean, the construction of it, De'Aaron Fox, Devin Vassell, Stephon Castle, Chris Paul, those are 4 very good guards, but 2 guys are going to have to start, 2 guys are going to kind of have to come off the bench. And Chris Paul, you know, this may be his final season. Who knows? He is getting up there in age, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's done after this season, which would make it a little bit easier. Then you either have Vassell or Castle coming off of the bench, obviously with De'Aaron Fox starting at the 1. And this team, I do think maybe might just be one, not even all-star, just star-ish level player or very, very good role player away from being a true contender. If Victor can continue to play well, if De'Aaron Fox can, which I do think this pairing is going to work very well, like I've stressed so far in this video. I mean, this is one of those pairings that I do think, looking at it on paper, is going to be as good, if not better, on the court than we see on paper. Most of the time, it's the opposite way. It seems a lot better on paper than it ends up being, but De'Aaron Fox and Victor, it's going to be very hard to guard both of them. And then you're going to leave other guys open, guys like Devin Vassell as well, guys like Stephon Castle, guys like Keldon Johnson. And I do think they're going to try to go get another guy. Maybe it's before the deadline. We'll have to wait and see. But this team is constructed very well, and this team going forward is going to be a competitor. Will they go out there and compete this year? I do think obviously they'll make the playoffs. They're 21-25 at this point. They're only going to get better going for the rest of this season. I mean, we're at the start of February. They're 10 games out right now from Houston, the first seed within their division, but when we're looking at the playoffs right now, I do think that this Spurs team will go in and sneak into the playoffs or even get higher than that. I mean, the West is going to be very competitive towards the end of this season, as we know, as the Lakers just went out there and made a massive trade as well. The Mavs out there as well. A lot of teams are going to be making big trades at this point. The Spurs are the 12th seed, yes, but now they're 3 games behind the Kings, who are the 10th seed, and they just have to get into the play-in at this point. If they can get into the play-in, maybe they win a few games and get into the playoffs. It is going to be very tough, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Spurs do make their way in. As we know, De'Aaron Fox is one of the most clutch players in the league, as we've seen with the Clutch Player of the Year award in the past, and the Kings have been able to sneak in the past few years and done some damage too in the playoffs with De'Aaron Fox at the head of that team. The Warriors are 11th at 500 as well, 24-24, and so are the Kings. The Spurs are only going to continue to get better throughout the rest of this season as well, with this new addition of De'Aaron Fox and Victor Wembanyama. So I think this pairing is going to be perfect. This is also one of those instances where we see teams go and do a trade during the midseason, and they may not do as well this season, but you give them a full offseason going into next year, and I do think the Spurs are going to become one of those contenders in the West, especially if they can get another guy in this season or even in the offseason, whether that's through free agency or they trade one of their young stars. Let me know down below what you guys think about this trade. I just told you what I think. I think it's a perfect trade if you are the Spurs. Let me know if you guys want to see what's going to happen with the King side. I can make a video about that, talking about that as well. I just think right now the Spurs are very exciting, and they're going to be a very fun team to watch going forward as well, with all these young players playing very well. So let me know down below what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next one.